This is your End Time News Prophecy Update, where end time prophecy and current events come together. I'm your host, W. Dean Shook. Welcome to Prophecy News Update, and remember, you can only hear Prophecy News Update on quality stations like the one you're listening to now. We've got some exciting headlines for you today. Here's a good one. Gummy Bears. Pharmaceutical drugs and vaccines made out of people. This is really a crazy headline, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not a joke. Right now, gelatin made with human DNA fragments is already being used in pharmaceutical drugs and vaccines, and scientists believe that recent breakthroughs will soon make it economically feasible to use such gelatin in consumer products such as gummy bears, marshmallows on a massive scale. So are you ready for gummy bears made out of people? They're coming! This is just the tip of the iceberg, as you'll read about when you see the rest of this story on wdeanshook.com. Now, most people would never imagine that the gummy bears that they're eating could potentially contain human DNA. Well, from now on, you might want to check, because particularly if those gummy bears come from China. There's a story worth reading. And don't get too excited about this headline, because I'm going to explain, but it says Obamacare. Now Obama is targeting hussies. That's right, he's calling on streetwalkers and sexually undiscriminating ladies. Obama's got your hot and steamy nights covered. A campaign called God Insurance debuted new ads Tuesday hawking free birth control pills courtesy of Obamacare. These ads were launched by the Colorado Consumer Health Initiative and Progress Now. One titled, Let's Get Physical, is geared towards women craving easy, casual sex. It features Susie and Nate, who are described as hot to trot. OMG, he's hot. Let's hope he's as easy to get in the sack as it was for me to get this birth control. My health insurance covers the pill, which means all I have to worry about is getting him between the covers, because I've got insurance. Now you can too, thanks to Obamacare. Another ad depicts a woman who can barely contain her excitement as she stands next to a life-size cutout portrait of actor Ryan Gosling. It states, "Hey girl, you're excited about an easy birth control? I'm excited about getting to know you. She's got insurance. Now you can too. Thanks to Obamacare." I'm not going to finish this story, but you're more than welcome to come to the website and read the rest of it and see the picture, see the ad yourself at wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com. I think it's more appropriate for you to see it for yourself than it is for me to say it on the air. In another interesting headline, Obama is building a compliant officer class in the military. What's this all about? I think we covered this a little bit earlier. Washington, the extraordinarily large number of senior military officials being relieved of duty during the Obama administration's 9 generals and flag officers this year alone are close to 200 senior officers over the last 5 years. This is part of the creation of a compliant officer class, according to a U.S. intelligence official. This story comes from WND, and in their ongoing coverage of what some top generals are openly calling a purge of senior military officers who ran afoul of Obama over his agenda, some military personnel have been speaking out. Now, according to a veteran Army intelligence officer who spoke to WND on condition of anonymity, he said, "There is within the armed forces a major concern that a compliant officer class is being created by the Obama administration. So much so, he said, it's becoming harder and harder to find senior officers with enough kahunas to say anything. Maybe at the rank of major or below, and possibly there are some special operations forces, but to make colonel or higher, it's all politics, he said. To underscore this concern, the official said almost no public concern was expressed by officers to the recent repeal of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy or the decision to allow women into frontline combat. I didn't read one piece of resistance to the DADT repeal, and I haven't seen one peep about females in the infantry, he said. His comments echoed those of retired generals who have expressed alarm over the high rate of dismissals and high-ranking officers in the Obama administration. Retired Army General Patrick Brady, a recipient of the U.S. military's highest decoration, the Medal of Honor, told WND Obama's agenda is discriminating and disrupting the morals of the U.S. ranks of the military. There's no doubt that Obama is intent on emasculating the military and will fire anyone who disagrees with him. Not only are military service members being demoralized and the ranks' overall readiness reduced by the Obama administration's purge of key leaders, but colonels, those lined up in rank to replace ongoing generals, are quietly taking their careers in other directions. I can understand why. And we have another DHS update. I think this one's pretty interesting. DHS funds installation of white boxes that can track populations of the entire city. Now, this is an exclusive from Joseph Watson. And here's the story. Strange new off-white boxes popping up in downtown Seattle use Wi-Fi networks that can record the last 1,000 locations of a person using their cell phones. But the Department of Homeland Security, which funded the network to the tune of $2.7 million, has refused to address the nightmare privacy implications of a system that could lead to the permanent tracking of an entire city's population. Now, there's a report by The Stranger, a weekly Seattle newspaper, exposes how the boxes, which are attached to utility poles and include vertical antenna, can track cell phones even if they're not connected to the system's Wi-Fi network. Aruba, the company that provided the boxes to the Seattle Police Department, brags in its technical literature about how the boxes can keep track of rogue or unassociated devices, in other words, your cell phone, even if you've refused to let the system access your device's Wi-Fi components. The user's guide for one of Aruba's recent software products states, the wireless network has a wealth of information about unassociated and associated devices. The software includes a location engine that calculates associated and unassociated devices every 30 seconds by default. The last 1,000 historical locations are stored for each address. Now, when reporter Mike Versky asked the Seattle Police Department and the Department of Homeland Security to explain what the boxes were for, the DSH refused to comment. And Seattle Police Detective Monty Moss would only say that the department is not comfortable answering policy questions when we do not yet have a policy. Well, Detective Moss also added that the mesh network could not be used for surveillance purposes without City Council approval and the appropriate court authorization. Note that he didn't say the mesh network couldn't be used for the surveillance functions we asked about, only that it wouldn't, at least until certain people in power say so. That's the equivalent of trust us in a handshake. The justification for the mesh network is it will only allow police, firefighters, and first responders to communicate as well as stream surveillance video on a private, uncluttered network during an emergency. Trust us. Thank you for joining me for this update. I'll see you on our next one. This is your host, W. Dean Shook, and don't forget, you only hear this program on quality stations like the one you're listening to now. You'll find these stories and more at our website. That's wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com.